Hello ratbags, it's Jade. Welcome to a special ARK video today listing the 5 things Wildcard and ARK Survival Evolved have never added to ARK. What happened to some of the mysterious mods, ideas and creatures that were supposedly meant to be coming to the game? ARK has been around for over 3.5 years. It's coming up to its 4th anniversary in a couple of months, so it's time to look back and see if any of these features and items will ever come to ARK Survival Evolved. It's safe to say if you're a fan of ARK, you've often heard of Survival of the Fittest. This Battle Royale was one of the first to really get the attention of people, and I'm sure it inspired many other developers to make their own Battle Royale, but with dinosaurs. Now of course we do know exactly what's happened to this, and there pretty much is zero chance of this ever coming out in any other form than what it currently is. It is currently a dead game mode that you can play on PC. It literally takes about an hour to just get one match going. There really isn't that many people playing it anymore. At various times though, other YouTubers have tried to revive it, giving attention to it and trying to tweet and talk to the devs to try and do something with it. But Jeremy Stieglitz, the creator of ARK Survival Evolved, only last year reaffirmed that they had no plans for it going forward. But if a developer or another team would like to try something with it and take it forward, then they would be open to suggestions. But certainly for Wildcards, who have now split up into Grapeshot to work on Atlas, Survival of the Fittest is definitely not on their list of priorities. So don't ever expect this opportunity to play this game. But what made it so special? Well, as I said, it was one of the first Battle Royale games to really go out there and class it as its own. It ended up as a free-to-play game at first, and it was very popular in Asia, where they was offering thousands in prize money for winning these competitions. Now the trailer for it actually really sparked interest because it was advertised on the PlayStation 4 storefront. The idea being that ARK Survival Evolved, the main game, was going to be available on Xbox in-game preview, and this Battle Royale mode, because it was free, was going to be coming out on the PS4 long before the base game actually arrived. As it turns out though, that never actually happens. They decided not to release Survival of the Fittest, and ARK Survival Evolved ended up coming out on the PlayStation around 6 months later in December time. It is truly a crying shame that no one else has thought to do something with this. They were even working on a brand new map based on the Scorched Earth map. Even Mr. Franks, the creator of the centre map, was working originally on a Scorched Earth remake, so it would be 2 different arenas, 2 different battle types that you could play. This game did die out though, hence why the developers really didn't start putting any time and effort into it, and they didn't really monetize it. Nowadays you expect all the battle royales to charge you for characters and microtransactions and cosmetics, but back in 2015-16 that really wasn't the case with most battle royales. You already had H1Z1, which was slowly starting to do it, and then you had obviously some of the bigger ones starting to be formulated, but they were still mods for games like Arma 3. But ultimately it was maybe just a little bit too hard to get into for the casual player. Unless you actually had played ARK, it would be very hard for you to really understand how to get into it. It wasn't a game for the casual. Nevertheless, it's a real shame. As I said, I really hope to see one day that maybe someone can pick this up and do something really interesting with it. Maybe it would succeed now, even though there are so many battle royales. I think one with dinosaurs would be absolutely unique. But likelihood is we won't be seeing Survival of the Fittest anytime soon. In a PC Gamer interview in 2017, just before ARK launched fully out of early access, Jeremy Stieglitz says it was a great experiment that just never caught on. It started as a mod that they had worked on internally, some of the members of staff at Wildcards, and it was pretty cool and fun. He went on to say, I don't know it'd be as big as PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, but I think dinosaurs are very agreeable to a general audience and they're cool in a PvP environment. Everyone understands how powerful a T-Rex is compared to, say, a raptor. That's a very intuitive thing. It's a good spectator game in fact, however it really comes down to focus. We're a very small team relative to what we try to do. We've got about 30 some people in our core team, and it's difficult for us to develop ARK Survival Evolved and Survival of the Fittest at the same time. Honestly, I guess we'll have to see. Once ARK Survival's core game is out the door in August, even then we're going to want to see what we can do with the mechanics. We plan many core gameplay updates for the foreseeable future. If somewhere in there we can find a group of people, however, who take SOTF forward, we'd probably be interested in working something out. I certainly like Survival to Fittest and I would hate to see nothing else come of it. My ability to predict the future is obviously pretty bad. Anything could happen, I guess I could say. Well, that was nearly 2 years ago now. There has absolutely been zero, zilch, nada coming about SOTF since then. So rest in peace, Survival to Fittest. Go ahead and try it. If you've bought the base game, you still have access to it on the PC. Just make sure you bring ARK on your mobile to play, as you'll be waiting a long time in that lobby. The ARK dev kit has given us many glimpses into the future of ARK Survival Evolved, with much better YouTubers than I being able to showcase and highlight exactly what's coming. It's been a long time since then though, as we haven't had any real brand new creatures added into ARK for over a year that weren't DLC. The idea that we're going to be getting new creatures is really a little bit suspect. The devs have never said they're going to be releasing any more, and they really do feel like the game has the core components. But one of the creatures that we never got a chance to see, or we found out what it was actually going to be, was the Swarm, otherwise known as the Hive as well. This creature was found in the Scorched Earth files. It's meant to have lots of tiny little bugs that pop out of its back. Considering the size of it and the way it's quite complicated, many predicted this was meant to be a boss, similar to the Broodmother and maybe a step on towards taking on the Manticore. It never got implemented, and these bare bones skeleton designs are only the ones available. There's no textures for the Swarm or the Hive, and they never really got pushed out any further. Scorched Earth was meant to get a whole bunch of other content, and that leads me also onto the next one. Whatever happened to the tech Wyvern saddles? Go and check out Pixels. I'll leave the link for this video in description. But a tech saddle has been part of Wildcard's plans in the past. They said they were going to be implementing it, but it just never happened. Come the release of ARK, nothing was made or said about it. And while we got to see some of the other tech stuff actually released, like the tech shield, the tech sword, we never got a chance to see the tech Wyvern saddle. Many had theorised it was going to be part of the tech items that you would unlock by defeating the Manticore on Scorched Earth, as that made the most sense considering that Scorched Earth was where you could get the Wyverns originally. I still think this is a great idea and they should really implement it. Lots of people were worried it was going to be OP, and particularly as Wyverns are pretty much one of the best creatures in the game. However, I still think it would have added another layer and give people a reason to visit Scorched Earth. Did you know Scorched Earth is pretty much the least favourite map out of all the ARK Survival Evolved maps? It has the least amount of servers that are active, and for a very, very long time it's always been the most unpopular map. Maybe if there was better rewards for it, and maybe if there was some different creatures added to it like the Hive, the Swarm, and maybe some rewards like the Tech Wyvern saddle, people would be willing to go back. Jeremy Stieglitz and Jesse have both given lots of answers in the past in community questions and basically answering what's happened to some of these features, but they've never answered why they didn't implement the tech saddles. And that again leads on to something else that comes part of what we all thought would happen. You complete and defeat the Manticore, you would get your Tech Wyvern saddle, and you would get a brand new cutscene. Aberration, the second DLC from ARK Survival Evolved, had its own cutscene. When you defeated Rockwell, spoilers, you go off into this little journey and it pretty much takes you to Earth, where you wake up obviously on the extinction map. Obviously the main base game had its own cutscene, and the developers did say they wanted to go back and add one to Scorched Earth, so it all made sense. And then it would explain why you went from the island to Scorched Earth and Scorched Earth to Aberration. So hopefully one day they do add this and it would form part of a complete experience for Scorched Earth. I used to say Scorched Earth was my worst map, but certainly Aberration, or maybe even Extinction now, is probably the worst one. Scorched Earth looks almost like a masterpiece. I definitely want to revisit it one day soon and maybe have the challenge of surviving with some brand new creatures added to it. So look out for a modded series. Maybe we'll revisit Scorched Earth and see what we can chuck into the mix. But c'est la vie, there are no plans to add any Tech Wyvern saddles as yet, although it is one of the things that could possibly come improvements in the next year. The wildcard devs are working on new content. They haven't said what that new content is. I don't think it's necessarily going to be new creatures, but I could definitely see them adding some rewards and possibly making good on their promise of an actual final cutscene for Scorched Earth. So fingers crossed 2019 is when we start seeing Scorched Earth get some love. Apart from some bug fixes, it really hasn't had that much added to it other than the Phoenix. Let me know what map is your favourite in the comment section down below, and maybe I'll go and review all the maps over once again. Now personally, I would have put ARK Ragnarok Improvements probably at number 5, or maybe not even in the top 5 list. However, so many of you guys love this map and rate it as your favourite map. That's why it's such a shame the developers, the mod creators of this map, never got a chance to finish it. They had big plans for Ragnarok. They were going to be adding more locations, more specific enemy types just for this map. But that all got cancelled when they got commissioned to start working on brand new content for the base game. Extinction is pretty much their baby. Not only that, but there was definitely a need for lots of bug fixing. Huge problems still plague the Ragnarok map today. Their time seriously got taken over trying to do their best job they could with Extinction, and while there are some parts of Extinction that are amazing, overall the map for me doesn't feel as connected and as polished as some of the others. That's because they really weren't given much time to work on it. They have been working on another modded map called Apex and have been doing that for a very long time now. Sadly, the Ragnarok devs, back in April 2018, they tweeted a bunch of tweets asking people not to direct any more real bad negative vibes towards them because of the way they had to cut content for Ragnarok and start working on Extinction. Remember, these guys were modders, they weren't paid developers, they literally only got a bursary from ARK for their Ragnarok map and they were pretty much independent still. But Wildcards employed them, made them part of their team, and so that meant they had to abandon Ragnarok. But as they explain here, most if not all of the cuts that were done to Ragnarok that seemed to get people up in arms were things that we as modders thought would be great to put into the map, and as it turns out we probably should have cut more things due to the map's poor performance. On high population official servers, I could say more, but Twitter is probably not the best place for it. Please just be respectful and imagine you don't have the entire picture, because you do not. So I know many of you would love to see some improvements come to Ragnarok, maybe some more labyrinth and puzzles like they added in, or maybe even some more improvements or new creature types. But the simple truth is, other than maybe a few bug fixes here and there or filling in some undermeshing, Ragnarok really won't be developed any further. Which is a shame because I know so many of you love it as your favourite map. But I have to say, it's not mine. I debated long and hard where to put Primitive Plus, and obviously it definitely needs some content. It is one of the features that is probably missing the most compared to what was promised when it first surfaced. Primitive Plus came in July 2016 and was meant to come out on the Xbox at exactly the same time, but it got pushed back until the release of Scorched Earth, which kind of took away a lot of the shine for Primitive Plus, particularly on console. Nevertheless, it's one of the most popular modes you can play on Xbox or the PS4. The amount of questions and time again I get asked, when is Primitive Plus getting an update? Simple fact is, it hasn't had an update significantly in a long time. Each brand new update that ARK gets, it seems to break Primitive Plus even more. That's why it's number 2, why it needs content so desperately. But the chances of getting that content are very slim. Now, said the creator has been tentatively asking in the past, what are the biggest problems with Primitive Plus? So that does mean, in my eyes, he may be looking at it in his spare time and maybe coming together to hopefully do some sort of bug fixing. But if he was looking forward to more of the actual mod being developed and maybe just fleshed out a lot more, you unfortunately will have to go and play Atlas. I've mentioned this at length in previous videos, talking about the $500,000 worth of modding talent that went into making Atlas, and Primitive Plus is pretty much the heart of what Atlas is. Forget the ships, forget the pirate aspect, think about the resources, think about the trading, think about the professions and the skills. That is all lifted directly from what said the creator of Primitive Plus was trying to do with his mods. He simply transferred it all over to Atlas. And that's why the chances of us getting this type of content fleshed out properly on the actual Xbox PS4 versions of Primitive Plus are really slim. Other modders have come and gone, and they've made things like Survival Plus, which kind of takes over a lot of what Primitive Plus promised. However, we're never going to see the full development of Primitive Plus that we kind of wanted to see. More trades, more professions, more items, more resources and recipes. It really was meant to be a different way of playing ARK, a more old school way of playing it, without the technology, without that tech stuff. So many people despise it. That's why Primitive Plus is so popular still. Who knows what Wildcard have intended for the future, but certainly the Primitive Plus curator is working on Atlas now, and the chances of him really getting back to fixing or adding brand new content to Primitive Plus are very slim. Let's hope though I'm wrong. I would love it if any of these features I've mentioned would come to the game in 2019. Wildcard supposedly have big plans for 2019, but already it's March and we still haven't even had the S Plus implemented yet. So let me know what is the most missing feature for you. Do you agree about Primitive Plus? Did you enjoy that game mode? It's definitely one of my favourites, and I really hope to one day see some more content added to it. You just announced that ARK is meant to be coming to PS4 is now going to be delayed further. You've also announced that the main game won't even be coming out of early access. So what do? Release a brand new trailer for an imaginary mod that never saw the light of day. Primal Survival, the trailer, was launched in June 2016, the same month that ARK was meant to leave early access, only a year after it first come out. Of course, that was maybe a bit unrealistic from the Wildcard devs, so it's understandable they ended up pushing the ARK release back. But what happened to Primal Survival? I'm putting this at number 1 because I think it would offer so much more to ARK as a brand if we could play as dinosaurs. And that's what this mod was meant to be. A total conversion mod. It was going to be worked on by the Instinct devs that basically ported over the game to the Xbox, but we never saw it come. We never saw any real betas or alphas, and unfortunately it looked like most of it was just done very much on the quick, just to hype up. Look in the dev kit and you'll find barely anything over the last few years relating to Primal Survival. The only one that's maybe managed to bring it forward even more has been the mod, the Be a Dino mod. And while that's great and good, and it probably does replace it for many people, obviously on PC, I think Primal Survival really would have gone down well on the Xbox and the PS4. With over 149,000 current subscribers, and over that time they've probably had around 200,000 people try and download this mod. The Be a Dino mod or Play as a Dino mod is hugely popular. I'm sure you've seen big tubers like Every Night's a Riot and Amphomia playing it. But wouldn't it be amazing if this got ported over and as official mod? So much could be done. It could encompass all the brand new creatures from Extinction and Aberration, and it really would be something unique and special, maybe even putting it all on just one map. Maybe make a mashup like they kind of did with Extinction and just have it as a bit of fun. If you really want an experience of how to be a dinosaur in ARK Survival Evolved, I did a video over it a year ago. It shows you how to ride the baby dinos and how you can kind of cheat your way into pretending you're at least playing this mod. I'll leave the link for this video in the description box down below. It was 2 years ago that I gave you guys news, and every time with Survival to Fittest and Primal Survival I was there first giving you information months before it actually happened. You were so upset with me when I first broke the news that it was delayed or it was going to be cancelled. Many of you guys gave me pretty crap comments, but since then we've had absolutely nothing come about Primal Survival. It never made its end of year release of 2016, and then it was supposedly delayed until mid 2017. It was finally cancelled a few months later. So let me know in the comment section, how did you feel about Primal Survival? Did you even know this was meant to be a fully sponsored mod coming to the game for Xbox and the PS4 as well as PC? What one of the 5 I've told you guys about today would you love to see in the game? Maybe the Wildcard devs can take note and see if they can work towards it for 2019. I am Jade, this has been Jade Plays Games. Make sure you like this video and don't forget to check out some of the links that I've put to videos in the description box down below. Until next time, rat bags, I'll see you later.